anybody to be leaving here at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, including me. Um, Some of you were at the Planning Commission meeting on the 8th, and we have the benefit of the recommendation of the staff, the zoning officer, many of you have met, and the recommendation of the Planning Commission if you attended that meeting. And we value all those recommendations, but then we discuss, the five of us, and we make up our minds, and we try to do what, frankly, I think we all five of us enjoy more being able to say yes to proposals than no, but we have a duty to think about the welfare of your neighborhood and the city. So sometimes it's a balancing act, and we can't always make everyone happy, but we do the best we can. At least, whether you leave with the result you want, I hope you will leave feeling that you got a full and fair hearing. That's our aim. Let me introduce who we are. At the city table is Monty McMillian, the city zoning officer. Many of you have met him. The board consists of, from your left, Corey Carden, Adam Nugent, Nick Holman, Sina Jenkins is vice chair. I'm Franklin Williams, chair of the board. Our stenographer at the other end of the table is Karen Brown. Our solicitor is seated next to me, Andy Harold, and his associate, his colleague, Tom Lang, is here. He's been here before, and he'll be here next month because Andy will be away. Andy, our solicitor, will read in your case, that is, give a basic introduction of it, and we will ask you to come to the podium, and we will ask you questions because we have the benefit of the application that you filed, so we have a pretty good idea, the basics of your application, and we will give you a chance to tell us more about what it is you want to do. And you know, the zoning officer's job is to make sure we all know exactly what the zoning ordinance says. Our job is to decide whether there are unique circumstances about your property that would make literal application of the zoning ordinance unfair. And we try to do that, as I said, without fear or favor, and in the best interest of your neighborhood and the city. If anyone has a cell phone, would you please either turn it off or to vibrate? People are getting tired of my line, but I still like it. I say, we all like the William Tell Overture, but we'd rather not hear it in the middle of a case. I have to ask you, please, speak into the microphone, but not right into it. I mean, don't swallow it. That just garbles the sound. But please speak up. Keep in mind that Well, pretend you still live out on a farm and it's 200 feet from the house to the barn and you don't feel like walking it. Because I really don't want to have to ask to repeat. Were any members of the board here when Michael Miller was chair? Nick, I thought you were. Adam, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. He will be gone from our company 3 years next week. Doesn't seem possible. He also, as you may recall, he also was hearing challenged. So maybe you'll be blessed when the time comes with a chairman or chairwoman who doesn't have to beg people to speak up. But you won't have to do it the rest of your lives, but please, in this meeting, I need to hear and understand what you're saying. Will everyone present please rise and raise your right hand? Everyone who's able. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you give here this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Let the record reflect that everyone present was duly sworn. Andy, help me keep, in case anybody comes in late.
Yep, I'll keep it,
They will.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, you also may recommend or remind them one person at a
Yeah,
time.
I was
Oh,
just gonna do that,
absolutely.
yep.
Absolutely. Our stenographer, Karen, I don't know how they do it, but they take down a verbatim record of everything that is said, but they can only do it one person at a time. They can't take down 2 or more people speaking at the same time. So please do not interrupt someone else speaking. Wait your turn or wait to be recognized. You will get a chance. Anything else?
That's it.
Yeah, I think we've about got it. Would you introduce the first case, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first case is case number 12-2024-Z-V/SE. The applicant and owner of the subject property is Courtney Williams of 45 York Road, Jacobus, Pennsylvania. The subject property is located at 748 Madison Avenue, which address is located in the RS2 Single Family Attached Residential Conservation Zoning District of the City of York. Applicant seeks several variances and a special exception to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use. First, the applicant seeks a definitional variance to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use from a single-family residence. Next, the applicant seeks a variance to permit up to 2 dwelling units, which exceeds allowable density requirements set forth in the City of York zoning ordinance. The applicant further seeks a variance to permit a conversion in a property which has not been vacant for at least 2 years as required by the zoning ordinance. And finally, applicant seeks a special exception to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use, a use permitted by a special exception in the RS2 zoning district. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of the City of York. The planning staff recommends denial of the requested variances related to definition of multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use. The planning staff recommends approval to the requested variance related to density and vacancy. The planning staff recommends approval of the special exception, provided all variance requests are approved by the zoning hearing board. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on April 8th, 2024. By way of unanimous vote, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested variances and the requested special exception. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, the deed to the subject property, 2 pages of floor plans, a county assessment information sheet, a refuse bill, an aerial view of the property, and 19 pages of the subject property.
Thank you. Ms. Williams, good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to ask a question, because if I don't, I may forget.
Okay.
At the-
She needs to stay who she is and the address and all
sorry?
Would you state your name?
Courtney Williams, and I'm the owner, the property owner,
And that address I,
748 Madison Avenue.
Could you state your address for the record, or where you actually live?
I live at 45 York Road,
in
Jacobus.
Jacobus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you, and thanks for reminding me. Karen, feel free to remind me if I forget.
Okay.
At the rear of this beautiful property, in the middle of the property, there is appears to be added on a white, like, tower or addition, small addition.
So when we bought it, the back porch, before we purchased this property had been like enclosed, so it was just like a little, is that what you're talking about? Just like in the back?
Well, it's as high as the house, yes, and
Oh, I apologize. That's the stairwell leading up to the other units, for 750, the adjoining property.
okay.
Yep.
So, I thought perhaps it was an elevator, but it's
not.
still,
It's a stairwell. It's an exterior stairwell, so they just, from 750's property, which is connected, they can use that to get to the second floor unit's back porch or the third floor unit's back porch, from the first floor unit's porch. So it just wraps around up there. 748 side has its own back door entrance from the porch, which is photographed. And then the second floor of 748 has its own stairwell in the back as well, which is the long open staircase coming from the second floor that it shows.
Can you explain, can you explain to the board just kind of the dynamics of the house? Because I did some research on it, and it's different house, the way it's laid up. And shouldn't you be including 750 in your proposal?
So I asked about this. So when we purchased, when we purchased the property, 750 is a 3-unit. It's zoned as a multifamily 3-unit, but the first floor overflows into 748 side because at some point someone knocked a little walkway from 750 side into 748's unit. We don't know when that happened. Years before that, there was actually 2 units on 748's property. There was a downstairs first floor unit, and then there was an upstairs, which was the second floor unit, leading into the third floor, which is all part of unit 2, which is why we're trying to convert it back to being 2 units on 748 side and split the 2 properties instead of just being one strange overflow on the first floor and then the second floor is being separated, if that makes sense. It's a,
I'm still confused, because when I read about, come on.
So you own both 758 and?
we do.
Okay.
We do. We bought it as a 4-unit. 3 units were on 750 side, and 1 unit was on 748's property. But the first floor unit of 750 is all part of the first floor unit of 748 as well. Somebody just created an opening so they could use the entire first floor of that property as a unit.
So did you put a wall back up, or?
So we were working on permits to like close all this off. There's already 2 electrical meters for 748. So as if it was a 2-unit, it has 2 separate electrical meters, which is 750 side also as its own property had 3 electrical units for the 3 units. So it's already been split that way. Just for originality of the building, there's 2 old original doorbells in the main entry of 748 side with 2 original mailboxes, which is kind of pictured. So we could just show, like, at some point this was very original to the building. It's just somebody wanted more square footage that owned the property. So they knocked a wall down because they lived there and made that one whole floor their livable space, and they rented out the other units above them. Yeah, that was what we learned from the previous owners about the property.
So how many units between 750 and 748?
So
Will there,
current-
will there be?
There will be
if we're here
5.
for- There'll be 5?
Yeah,
Okay.
and the way the property's set up now, say we ever want to sell or do anything with it, it has to be sold as a whole unit because of 750 being the entire first floor. We couldn't say, well, we want to sell 748 right now, and then 5-10 years down the road, well, we would like to sell 750 now. At this point, we have to sell the entire property as one, which is why we bought it that way. But
Okay, let's go backwards again, because I'm still confused.
yeah,
750 and 748, the first floor is 1 unit. That's unit number 1. Is that correct?
correct.
And are you doing anything to that?
Yeah, we're just closing the walkway. There's a photo that I put
But
in.
are you making it into another unit?
Yeah, so we're wanting to make 748 side, the first floor, a unit again, how it had been at some point in time. We're not adding any square footage to that space. There's already 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a very large room in the back, which was being used as a bedroom that we are converting into a kitchen/living room.
This is the whole downstairs. This is.
Just a question for
Yes.
everyone in the audience. Is there anyone here specifically for this case? Thank you.
Okay, could you continue on and explain the second floor? I mean, so the first floor is being divided into 2. And then, because I went back and looked at the real estate's description of the property, and they talk about, it's confusing.
It's very
But
confusing.
it does say rental license reports as a 1 unit at 748 and 3 units at 750.
Correct.
Okay, so there's 4 total units when you bought the place.
Correct. So on 748 side, they only technically considered it a 1 unit, which is the second floor.
Okay,
And the second floor and the third floor is 1 unit. Like the second floor has the kitchen, a bedroom, a living, and a bathroom, and then the third floor has the 2 bedrooms
bedrooms.
for that unit. Yeah, and then the first floor of 748 is now getting grouped in with 750's first floor as the unit for 750.
Okay.
So kind of everything we do, it gets lower. Even when we had the property like appraised, insurance things, it got real sticky because the way it's not just 750, it's now 748. But 748's only zoned as a single-family 1-unit property. 750 has 3 units, but 1 unit. It's very, odd. When we were looking into the property and we bought it, and we were looking at the zoning that we could find that had already been zoned, at one point it had been zoned as a multifamily 2-unit property on 748 side. So we thought that's what it was until we went and we were getting permits and we realized it wasn't actually zoned that way. And we wanted to convert it to be that correct and not be a very strange, L into 748's property, essentially.
thank you.
I missed the things that stuck up.
I don't have any questions.
Any further questions? Okay, I don't, and even though, in spite of the size and really apparent a very good condition that this property has been maintained in, basically, aside from those things, it looks to me like a slightly different variation of the bringing the property into compliance. Well, by changing the zoning. If we're not gonna rebuild the property, we're gonna rebuild the zoning applied to it to go back to what apparently it was. Yeah. So without objection, I would be prepared to move in case number 12-2024-Z-SE-V regarding the property at 748 Madison Avenue. I would move to approve a variance to the definition of multifamily conversion from a different use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002A.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Nugent to approve the variance to the definition of multifamily conversion. Calling for the vote, Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. In the case of 12-2024-Z-SE-V regarding 748 Madison Avenue, I move to approve a dimensional variance for multifamily conversion from a different use found in section 1304.01-1.02.002 to include conversion of a single-family home into 2 units for the property at 748 Madison Avenue.
Second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Nugent, to approve the variance from the dimensional variance for multifamily conversion. Calling for the vote, Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. Regarding case number 12-2024-Z-SE-V regarding 748 Madison Avenue, I move to approve a variance to waive the special exception provision that the property must have been vacant for 2 years, found in section 1311.11, parenthesis C, parenthesis 1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Mr. Nugent and Ms. Jenkins to approve a variance to waive the special exception provision. Calling for the vote, Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. And in case number 12-2024-Z-SE-V, I move to approve the special exception to allow this multifamily use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002.
Second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Nugent to approve the special exception to allow multifamily use. Calling for the vote. Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. I hate those closely split votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ready when you are.
Okay, I'm gonna let Tom take this one.
Okay.
All right. So this is case number 14 2024-Z-V. The applicant is Giovanni Luna of 100 West Jackson Street, York, PA 17401. The owners of the subject property are Nathaniel and Betty Spall of 100 West Jackson Street, York, PA 17041. The subject property is located at 161 West Jackson Street, York, PA 17401, which address is located in the MUI 2 Urban Residential Neighborhood Zoning District of the City of York. Applicant seeks a variance to permit the conversion of a rear commercial space into a perfume shop. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of York City. The planning staff recommended approval of the requested variance. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on April 8th, 2024. By way of unanimous vote, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested variance. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, the deed to the subject property, an aerial photo of the subject property, a hand-drawn floor plan, and 5 pages of photos of the subject property. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Now, I have a question about paperwork. The variance review lists the owners of the property as Nathaniel and Betty Small.
That was sorry, my name is Giovanni Luna. I live 100 West Jackson Street.
Yes.
Well, he was the previous owner. So the property, that was about like 2 years ago from my husband and my husband-in-law, Luis Jose Vasquez.
So you're explaining to me who Luis Jose Vasquez and Jose A. Vasquez are.
Luis Jose Vasquez is my husband, and
Okay.
Jose Vasquez is my brother-in-law.
Okay. I knew there was a good explanation, and I knew you would give it to us, but I didn't want to assume. So, you would like to, the pizza shop is open in the front part of the first
Yes,
floor?
yes, the pizza shop is open.
Of course, every college neighborhood has to have several pizza shops.
Yeah, kind of the whole neighborhood.
And you would like to open a retail store in the rear part of the first floor,
Correct.
specializing in perfumes,
Yes, something like that.
something like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, because
Perfume-
we have like the real part of it here. So I thought at first that we can open it, but after I find out that we have to move it as a zoning because it wasn't approved for a commercial, so I have to do the application of this, boy, we didn't know that we have to do for all this process first. Because I thought at first, because the front of the building is like the pizza shop, which is commercial, right? I thought it was like the same thing because it's the same building, even though it's in the rear part.
This might be a silly question, but what's sold at a perfume shop?
I'm sorry?
What do you sell at a perfume shop?
Like, like the body shop, perfume for girls, for women, and like the personal care. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
And perhaps lotions,
Lotions, yes.
skincare
Skincare
products.
too. Everything that for us to make us smell good.
I have a question for the zoning officer. Why is not the building completely zoned commercial? What's the difference in this?
That was my question.
Yeah, I'm curious now too, because I was wondering why we even have a variance to have a
Yeah.
perfume shop
Yeah.
for this place that's already all commercial.
We was looking at it, trying to do a pre-existing non-conforming because it's two separate kinds of businesses. They said they could not do it because it's food in the front and something totally different in the back. That's why she has to come to zoning to get approval for it because it's not approved in that zoning.
So it's for the business.
Yes.
For the
Oh, for the
business use.
different kind of business then?
So the building is completely commercial.
It's a commercial first floor, and I think it has 2 apartments on the second and third.
Makes sense.
And the reason for a variance is because we have food in the front and something in the back?
Yes, and the perfume shop is not permitted in that zone. That's why she needed a variance for the use.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
At one point, was this part of the building, part of the pizza shop?
When we bought it, not. That was like all destroyed, was like an old storage. Well, they have it closed. So they have a door, if you can see, the door over there, it was a door, but it was locked. All that part, it was all messed up. They didn't have anything over there. So just the pizza shop began from that door, from the front.
And Mr. Holman, just to go back, as I was doing my case summaries for these, it occurred to me that I think this could have fit under a neighborhood retail, but it also would have required a special exception. So I talked with Nancy. Nancy talked with Monty. And I think the decision was just to kind of keep it as is for tonight. They'll get a variance for a retail. I think it's retail basically. It's
Yeah,
general
retail. Yep.
Yeah, and then they won't be limited in any way by the neighborhood qualifications, if assuming that the variance is granted. If
So it'll be a variance for a retail store,
correct.
and it doesn't have to be perfume.
No.
Good.
That's even
Okay.
better for you. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, even better.
Yep.
We can
Yep.
sell all this stuff.
Is there anyone here who's here specifically for this case? Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Hearing none, would someone else like to offer a motion?
Well, I'll move to approve a variance to allow a perfume store as defined in section 1304.1.4.07.001 at 161 West Jackson Street in the MU12 zoning district. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, do we want to modify that?
I would say that a retail shop
Yeah, let's
with
get
the
rid of
intent of being a perfume
Perfect,
shop.
yeah.
Yeah.
A
Better.
retail shop with the intent of being a perfume shop.
I second it.
Thank you.
It's been moved by Mr. Nugent, seconded by Mr. Holman. In the case of, in case number 14-2024, to approve a retail shop intended to be, to specialize in perfume and cosmetics. Calling for the vote. Mr. Carden?
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Do you want to go ahead and read it in, and then we'll try to figure out what we're doing?
Which this is, oh, yes. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, this is case number 15-2024-Z-V. The applicant and owner is Aisha, and I apologize, is it Beatty? Yeah. Great, cool, perfect time. Beatty White of 560 Atlantic Avenue, York, Pennsylvania, 17404. The subject property is located at 560 Atlantic Avenue, York, Pennsylvania, 17404, which address is located in the RS-2 Urban Single Family Attached Residential Conservation Zoning District of York, Pennsylvania. Applicant seeks a variance to permit the subject property to be used as a rooming house. Our application was reviewed by the planning staff of York, the city of York. The planning staff recommends denial of the requested variance. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on April 8th, 2024. By way of unanimous vote, the Planning Commission recommended to table the case. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, a mortgage to the subject property, 3 pages of floor plans, 21 pages of photos of the subject property, and 2 pages of aerial photos of the subject property. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. And I'm glad we have two solicitors present because, and I had a very brief discussion with the zoning officer, I think earlier in the week, about this, and frankly, I said, I'm not quite sure how we can say that in the variance review that that the applicant proposes to use the property as a rooming house when the online narrative completed by the applicant starts with, and I quote, "I do not want a rooming house or boarding house." I admit I'm not the sharpest pencil in the can, but I don't feel that bad that I'm having a little bit of trouble making those two things jive.
Well, I think, so I think that what you have is a discrepancy between sort of the intent of the homeowner and the limitations of the zoning ordinance, okay? My understanding, and I called the zoning office on this as well, Monty, feel free to jump in here if I'm wrong, but the closest definition in the zoning ordinance is essentially a rooming house, okay? Because the applicant is seeking to basically, my understanding is rent to your daughter?
Yeah, it started off by, okay, first my name's Aisha, B.D. White. I live at 560 Atlantic Avenue in York. It started off my daughter and her boyfriend getting behind in their rent. He lost his disability. They applied for the RAP program and went through in July of 2023. This is when it started. And when we got to the end of the process, they said I needed a renter certificate. So that's why I'm here, because in order to get the back pay, I needed to do this. So that's why I'm here. They said I could not charge my daughter rent without having a renting certificate, so, yeah, she's 21.
And I think that the issue there is that when Miss B.D. White went to and I don't want to put words in your mouth,
Okay.
so correct me if I'm wrong, but you went to the city, and the city said, well, you can't get a rental certification as a single-family home. Is that right?
Correct. I called to talk to Michelle Painter Diggs. Painter was her maiden name. And she told me that, no, legally I can't rent to my daughter and evict her or seek any money if I don't have a rent certificate. And because I still live in the house, it would be considered like a room house. I said, I don't want a room house. I don't want to be considered as a room house neither. I want to help my daughter out if possible, but she has to pay and be responsible and pay her rent too.
Does your daughter still live there?
Well, when they told me that they couldn't pay, I'm like, I don't know what you need to make some changes. You need to do some things. So she was trying. So she moved out for 2 weeks and then came back. Was like, they're charging me too much. So she went to her fiance's house and tried to make it work there, but she came back within 2 weeks. But she did pay me. She's paying me now, but she still owes me a lot.
And I don't do a lot of, to me, I don't do a lot of landlord-tenant, but I did check with somebody in our office that does do landlord-tenant, and they confirmed that if Miss B.D. White wanted to evict her daughter, I hope you don't want to do that, but if she did, the magisterial district judges, at least some of them, will not accept or will not evict somebody unless there is a tenant or a rental certification from the city. I didn't know that.
That is correct.
Do you have a lease with your daughter?
I do.
Even with the lease?
And I'm not sure that that's. I don't know that that's
Legal document.
legally. Well, the
Rental property.
I guess that's his. The magisterial district judge's theory, but it would seem to me that you could evict somebody, but I guess they won't entertain the case, which, And again, I did confirm that with somebody else in our office, which again doesn't quite make sense to me, but so it goes, I guess.
So basically, you're here to try to get a rooming house certificate, let's call it, so you can legally get the back payment from your daughter,
That's
is what I'm hearing.
pretty much that's it, because I can't do anything else. My hands is tied. I was off work for almost 3 years, and I'm just back to work recently for a year. And she was helping me, but then when she did that, it kind of put me in a hole in a lot of ways. I had 2 knee replacements, a partial ankle, so yeah.
Okay.
But if we do a rooming house, then it would have to stick as that.
Are you sure, Michael?
Oh, I was asking.
Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, we have, made conditions in the past that it would go back upon transfer. I have my skepticisms about that. But let me ask you this, Ms. Beatty, how many rooms are you really looking to rent in your house?
Just my daughter's room.
So what you could do is you could approve this and limit it to one singular rental room as a rooming house. Put that condition on it, so that really she's never going to be able to use it as a rooming house. It's only going to be a rooming house in name, so that she can get these certifications, and then she's still limited to just having one rental room. So you sort of get around the concerns that a lot of people have about rooming houses in the future, because you limit it to just one room. That's an option.
Is there anyone here who is opposed to this project? Okay.
Okay, and before you go away, the parking is also an issue. We're gonna have to require a variance on the parking. Do you have any parking for?
No, there's no parking, and she don't drive.
I know, but there's a requirement, if we're gonna call it a rooming house, which we have to legally, there's a requirement for 4 parking spots.
Well, I took pictures of the area. There's nowhere that it could be off. I mean, we don't have off-street parking ourselves. I mean, there's some houses that do have driveways, but none of us here do.
Okay.
And actually, it's on the
So presently, Ms. Beatty, you have a car and your daughter has a car?
No.
No,
Just
doesn't?
me and my husband have a car. And my daughter doesn't drive. She don't have a license.
But, I think, these good people came out, and I think we could hear them now. And so it would accomplish your purpose if we gave you the variances you need, restricted, qualified, limited to one room, and that would be sufficient for what you want to do with your daughter.
Yes.
So
But she's the only one, she's the only one that's working. My other daughter is 18 and she's in college, so yeah, she don't have to pay anything right now.
So question to you, Andy, just to maybe satisfy the neighbors as well, could we also put contingent that that if the daughter would move out, that it would then wipe that out?
Yeah, I'm not renting to nobody else.
But I just want to be
Right,
able to
yeah.
satisfy
Yeah,
everybody.
so that's-
It would be difficult to enforce that. You get back to an enforcement issue. I think that could be a difficult condition to enforce.
Okay.
But I think the important part is we could do the reverts when it
One,
is
yeah.
sold, so, right.
Yeah.
I mean, it would still be difficult to enforce.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
When did you purchase the house? I know it's in the
Oh, sorry,
document.
2001.
2001. So you've been living there for 23.
20-some years. My daughter was,
Okay.
my oldest daughter was 2 when I purchased the house, so she's 25 now.
Okay, great, thank you.
Would someone like to step up to the mic? Please state your name clearly and spell it and your address.
My name is Christopher Buckingham, and my address is 564 Atlantic Avenue. I think I've been elected by them to speak on behalf, but our concerns were, some of them were addressed here by your discussion. We were concerned about future ownership. I think you addressed that, thank you. We were concerned about her changing her mind. If it can be limited to just this daughter, I think we would be fine with that. They can agree or disagree on there, but these are my thoughts. If we all love Tom and Isha, we want to see them get their money. We don't want any ill will in the neighborhood. But we're concerned about a precedent this may set. 500 Atlantic Avenue, someone bought that recently, started renting out rooms by the room, and they were shut down because they were doing it illegally. You know, we're wondering what precedent does this set?
So I'll answer that for you, and the short answer is that there is absolutely no precedent. The law in Pennsylvania is pretty clear that these folks could make a decision here tonight, and then they could make a different decision in the same neighborhood for the same request on a different night, depending on the different facts of each case. Okay, so there is no, you hear of legal precedents with the Supreme Court, things like that. None of that exists here. So you don't need to worry about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, parking, I understand her daughter doesn't drive. Parking right now, everyone is very aware of each other. We all respect one another. We try to park in the same general parking areas. Street cleaning messes that up 1 week a month. But, we were concerned about if there were to be other rooms rented, or if friends start coming to visit a lot, the parking situation. I mean, even the water company messed up our parking a little bit by when they reran the water line. They moved a fire hydrant from us in front of a stop sign where it didn't bother parking across the street to where it took a parking space out of the neighborhood. So just little things like that can screw things up. I think we were concerned about the possibility of, now I have this zoning variance, now I can rent to other family members or other people, or bring in college students for this term. We don't want to see any of that. We do want to see her collect her money. We don't want her to have any hardship. And is there a way, we were wondering, is there a way we can do this without endangering the welfare of the neighborhood by opening doors that may be hard to close? I guess is a good way to put it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I was going to say, guess I'm stepping up. From what Andy had just said to you, no way does this open up for any type of precedence, because no matter who in what area decides that they want to alter or seek to change anything in the household, they have to come before us. And each case is dealt with as it's presented to us. So no matter what somebody might do today, she may get it approved, she may not get approved. The next person that steps up to that mic could live on your same block, and their situation may be different. and theirs may go in the opposite direction that hers may. So, and just, you know, the other side of that, I live in that area as well. So that's not well known for, a whole type of not boarding house, rooming house, I guess is what it's. So I think you're concerned that it's opening up for a precedent in that area. I don't think it would, because no matter what, like you said, the other people try to do it illegally, they got shut down. I would say as neighbors, if you see that, then you definitely want to report it so it can be dealt with, or at least looked into to make sure whether it is illegal or not. If I answered what you were asking.
Yep.
But plus I would throw in, if you hear another case that's coming to the zoning board, please show up again. That adds a lot.
Yeah.
I do have a question though. If her daughter decides to leave, let's say we approve a one-room rooming house, and her daughter comes there, leaves after a while, and her other daughter shows up after college, would you guys have a problem with that? I mean, it's still a family member.
Yeah, not necessarily. As the children were growing up, they were very respectful, wonderful children. We loved that family. When the children were small, they were very, very good children, respectful. There was some problems when they were teenagers. The boys that would come around were not the most desirable to the neighborhood. There were some issues. You know, but when I would go to Isha and say, hey, this guy that was here visiting your daughter, he urinated in my alleyway. She went in and yelled at the kid, you know. So I don't have a problem with Tom and Isha as parents, as people, as neighbors. The friends of the daughters, yes, I'll be honest. I've told Isha, I have a problem with some of them, you know. But that's something that, you know, I can work out with Isha, I think.
Well, Mr. Buckingham, I just want to commend you and your neighbors for actually coming in with an attitude that's neighborly. So that's, you know, something we like seeing. We appreciate that.
Is there anything else I missed that you want me to? I think I know I'm done. I think we're.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I took, Mr. Nugent took words out of my mouth, which I'll forgive him for in time, but.
You probably made it shorter.
But I was very impressed and moved by, you know, we have had, I can picture your neighborhood. It's lovely. And we have had cases like this before. We've had cases from neighborhoods that probably were more challenged, but were fighting to hold on and to improve things. We've had neighbors come in from neighborhoods that some people would say, oh, that's a better neighborhood than these other ones, and they were not very nice. In fact, they embarrassed me. But you folks made me proud, and I feel very good about everything that's been said. And who would like to?
I'll start it, but I may need help on how we're going to word this.
Right.
In the case of 15-2024-Z-D at 560 Atlantic Avenue, I move to approve a variance that there will be 4 off-street parking spaces as defined in section 1304.02-7.17.B5. And that's in the RS2 zoning district.
It's been moved by Ms. Jenkins and seconded by, I'm sorry, I missed it.
That was the second.
By Mr. Holman, to approve a variance from the requirement for 4 off-street parking spaces. Now, should we attach a condition there, or will it?
How many do you have? How many parking spaces do you have? Okay, nobody does. Yeah, okay, then that's fine, yeah, okay.
The neighborhood has
3 of them are 2-unit apartments for the potential to have vehicles for each of those apartments. The other 3 are residences, and in front of 560 and 558 are handicap spaces.
Do you know, Mr. Buckingham, how wide your lots are? Yeah,
You can park 1 car in front of 1 house.
that's it? Wow, yeah.
I own 3 vehicles. I have a truck and a car that I drive seasonally or as needed for the truck. The one I'm not driving sits in front of my house. The other 2, I've tried to put over where they put the fire hydrant. I had to move up a space there. Because there's Union Field over there. And then my wife parks around the corner. And sometimes we'll park directly across the street because they have garages behind their houses that they, a lot of them use.
There are 3 handicap spots within a half block, and Aisha has 1. So that, right there, takes up 3.
Can I have your name, please?
Your name, Leslie, your name.
Your name?
Kopp, K-O-P-P,
Thank you.
556 Atlantic Avenue.
Thank you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded, did I say that? Moved by Ms. Jenkins and seconded by Mr. Holman to approve a variance from the requirement for 4 off-street parking spaces. Calling for the vote, Mr. Carden?
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye.
I move to approve a variance to allow a rooming house with 1 single bedroom as defined in section 1304.02-7.17 in the RS2 zoning district.
And did you want to condition that also on when change of ownership?
Yes.
Okay.
So
That's okay. I think I've clarified it enough. Yeah.
you'll add that?
Yeah, oh, that'll be in the decision. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Wait a second, and do you have any issue with that, ma'am?
I do not.
Okay,
Do we have a second?
second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Jenkins, seconded by Mr. Holman to approve a variance to allow a rooming house limited to 1 room and conditioned on the continued ownership by the applicant.
For the vote?
A second?
We already did that. We're calling for the vote.
Okay, calling for the vote. Mr. Carden?
Aye.
Mr. Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. And that is approved.
Good luck to you.
Thanks to all of you for communicating as neighbors.
Thank you.
That helps.
Ready to keep rolling?
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
All right, the next case here is case number 16-2024-Z-V. The applicant is CGA Architects, Inc. of 134 West Main Street, Loyola, PA, 17540. The owner of the subject property is 600 Market Street, LLC of 100 East Princess Street, York, PA, 17401. Subject property is located at 600 West Market Street, York, Pennsylvania, 17401, which address is located in the UN1 Urban Mixed Residential Commercial Zoning District of the City of York. Applicant seeks a variance to permit a neighborhood grocery store which is less than 1,000 square feet in size. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of the City of York. The planning staff recommends denial of the requested variance. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on April 8th, 2024. By way of majority vote, the Planning Commission recommended to table the case. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, a January 23rd, 2024 letter from Zoning Officer McMillian, a February 14th letter from MPL Law Firm, the deed dated to the subject property, site plans from CGA Architects, and 7 pages of photos of the subject property. Mr. Chairman.
And I may have improperly typed that, and I gave these to Tom. That's not his mistake. That may be my mistake. The the planning commission recommended approval. That was my mistake, not yours. And it was by way of majority vote with, looks like, 1 no vote.
My apologies.
Scared me.
Yeah, sure I did. Yeah. Sorry about that, sir.
And I would like to make a statement for the record. And it is not going to be finished with an offer to recuse, which I don't think is necessary. But for 10 or 11 years, this property was, I guess I would say, my home away from home. The first time in 23 years that we are considering a property that I could probably find my way through in the dark. I don't know if any of you, and we can separate past history. You know, this was Miles Muffler and Brake Shop. It was kind of iconic. It is going to be deeply missed, but it's gone. It's history. In full disclosure, I'll mention that I participated in 2 or 3 discussions on Facebook.
Hold on, just 1 second. I'm sorry, ladies, she needs to be able to hear everything, and we can't have talking in the background. Are you translating? You're not translating, are you? Okay, I'm sorry. So we just need to, unless somebody's translating, we need to have everybody be silent. I'm sorry.
Thank you. The discussions were not about the case before us, but when a newspaper, twice in the past 6 weeks or so, newspaper articles were shared about the closing of the muffler shop and a whole lot of misinformation about the closing of it, which I was in a position to correct. And I don't think I have to be ignorant about things I do know about that do not affect the case before us out of a hypersensitivity to some appearance when there is no reality. But as recently as Tuesday or Wednesday, I was driving by. I live a half a block away, and I met Ahmed, your contractor, your builder. Marvelous guy. And he greeted me like we were old friends. And I said, do I know you? He said, no, but I like you. Something like that. Boy, if only more city people were that friendly and outgoing. So that's the history. And like I said, it's history. It has no bearing on, to me, in my mind, it has no bearing on this case. Like when people say they'd like to see Penn Street Market brought back to what it was. It can't, because what made it what it was were the people. And they're dead or retired or moved to a nursing home or something. So, see, it's the people that make things what they are. And when they're gone, we have to hope that we can find some way to replace the use that's gone with another good use. And I just wanted to put all that on the record. And would you explain now, I'm sorry, would you give your name and address for the record? And I'll shut up.
Look, before you do that, based on that, does anybody object to Mr. Williams continuing to hear the case? Okay, thank you. Let the record reflect that nobody indicated any opposition.
All right. My name is Ian Norman. I work for CGA Architects. Should I list the firm address or my personal address?
Firm address is fine.
Sure. 134 West Main Street, Leola, PA. 17540 or 450. I can't ever remember.
540.
540. Thank you. So the basis of this project is that Miles Muffler is gone. My clients here would like to occupy the front portion of that building to put a convenience store in. The reason for this variance is the building is very long and very narrow for a convenience store. The program that my clients want to put in is a long counter for display of goods, plenty of back wall space also for display of goods, the kitchen for, what did you guys say, Nashville chicken. It will be distinct from their other chicken chains. And then a restroom and a 10-door cooler. There's a lot of program that has to go into this store to make it function, let alone the storage or the display racks, the display shelving that goes into it. Think of any convenience store you've ever been in. The racks run, and then you have the end display units. I can't do that in this store because of how narrow it gets because of the other program occupying the space. What I'm asking for is for us to get an extra 400 square feet just to occupy the next bay in the building so that I can do a series of 4-foot long with end cap units, allowing proper clearance around each of the units. That's what's killing the spatial requirements. I need to have clearance around all of my racking. So that's the merits of the project here. The building's too narrow for the program that we want to put in. We would like extra room to get an adequate number of display racks, freestanding display racks.
I'm sure you've been in the building.
Yes, I have. I surveyed the building itself.
Sure. There is a major support wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's right next to the
We're blowing it up.
to the lunchroom.
Yes.
Ahmed said that he thought that from that support wall back through the rear shop
Mm-hmm.
was a later addition. He thought that from that support wall towards Market Street. in
How
other
long ago did you talk to him?
I'm sorry?
How long ago did you talk to him?
It was earlier this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He must be operating under old information then. I have discussed with my clients directly. That is why we are seeking this expansion. I did a preliminary layout for them. Showed them, here's how all your program fits in here, here's how much counter you get. And they said, that's not enough. Can we take this next bay? And I said, sure, but we have to go in for a variance because now we're going to creep up over that 1,000 square foot you need for a convenience store. So that's what's going on. Yes, I did survey the building. I know the structure. It's going to take some rework. The good news is that the wall that you're talking about, that building on, that spans front to back. It spans the narrow way. The structure on the other side, the portion that is going to be our store, that is spanning from that wall to the center beam, so it's spanning long ways. We're going to have to replace that bearing wall with a piece of steel, probably the same piece of steel that's already in there, in order to continue the roof, continue carrying the roof. What that will entail is just installation of new CMU block that's grouted and tied into the existing CMU walls, a beam placed on top. Of course, the ceiling is braced in the meantime, but it'll end up with a clear span across, similar to all the other portions of the building.
And it's your testimony this evening that in order to make the project viable, you need the additional 400 square feet.
That is my and my client's opinion, simply because I cannot do long racks of display. I have to do short little 4-foot guys with end caps.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I do. On our variance review piece of paper, it's got, the owner is Jeffrey Coburn.
They bought the property from him.
And that's my first question, because I'm looking at the deed, and it was, he was the seller, and you got the buyer. I assume that the buyers are 600 Market Street LLC.
Correct.
And then my second question is, the existing garages and such, are you gonna use those? I mean, I'm sure that's part of the property. No use garage. You need to come up and tell us who you are.
No use garage. My name is Amir Pracha, and I'm living for 429 Southampton Drive, latest PA 17543. And no more garage for this, just I want to open for store and fried chicken, stuff like this.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, you could use it for storage and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, because I'm not technically actually, so I know just only work this. For 25 years, I have experience for store. That's why I like only open this store.
Okay. Do you own any other stores here?
Yeah, 100 East Princess Street.
I thought so.
Oak and Chill.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And future maybe, I don't know, for this side, future maybe I want to open for laundromat for people need over there. But I'm thinking, because I have no experience, but I'm thinking to do it this.
So what all type of store is this going to be that it's going to be different from the Turkey Hill across the street?
Is it fried chicken, food, a lot of food section?
What's the store called?
I'm thinking to, for name, but Ali, what do you think for name? I'm decided. It's
And I'm sorry, what's your name, sir?
Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali Shahid.
So you're not really worried about Turkey Hill's competition?
No, sir.
Just that was my last question, so.
God help for everybody, you know. So many business, everybody happy to open.
Is anyone here in opposition to this project?
Well, if your fried chicken lives up to its, what I've heard about it, I think you'll do okay, but I'm not as worried, I guess, about the Turkey Hill right across the street. I do not know whether they have started selling beer and wine, like some of them have.
They would have to restructure that.
Would they? Yeah. But there are two other stores up through the 600 block, one at the corner of Belvedere. They're small supermarkets. They claim to be supermarkets. And so it's not exactly a food desert. But if you can do something different, I bet it'll be popular.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, if I may, is there any other comment or question for the applicant? Well, it would give me personal satisfaction to, I'll admit, to offer a motion. In the case of case 16, number 16-2024-Z-V, regarding the property at 600 West Market Street. I move to approve a variance to the neighborhood grocery store requirement limiting the space to 1,000 square feet as defined in section 1304.01-4.09, parenthesis 5.
You might want to just limit, is 1,500 square foot, does that get you the requirement?
It can be massaged. What we did was we took to the next bearing point.
Okay.
So it's existing structure that we kind of took to, and then I did a calculation of what was left over. So that's the hard number. If you said 1,500, as long as we're not over that, correct? That's
Correct, right, right.
So,
1,500 would work.
yes.
Okay.
15 is.
how would,
So I would just say with a condition that the space not exceed 1,500 and, I don't know, 1,500 feet, is 1,500 definitely good?
square feet.
For customer area, yes. That, as long as we're defining as area, my total footprint is larger than 1,500.
Then say,
A lot of
yeah,
that is
yeah.
for the operation of the store.
That's fine.
Okay. But not to exceed 1,500 square feet of customer area. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Holman to approve a variance to the neighborhood grocery store limitation of 1,000 square feet. Calling for the vote, Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Looking forward to the chicken.
Yeah.
Remember our faces when we come in.
Yeah, anytime you guys most welcome. On the house for you guys.
You can't take that. That sounds like a bribe.
Yeah. Strike that from the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Ready.
Okay, next is case number 17-2024-Z-SE-V. The applicant and owner of the subject property is Alina Aguilar of 601 Florida Avenue, York, Pennsylvania, 17404. Subject property is located at 502 West King Street, which address is located in the UN2 Urban Residential Neighborhood District of York, of the City of York. Applicant seeks several variances and a special exception to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use. First, the applicant seeks a definitional variance to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use from a single-family residence. The applicant further seeks a variance to permit a conversion of the property which has not been vacant for at least 2 years, as required by the zoning ordinance. The applicant also seeks a variance for the requirement of the seeks a variance requirement that the applicant provide 3 off-street parking spaces. The applicant can provide only 2 off-street parking spaces. Finally, the applicant seeks a special exception to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use, a use permitted by special exception in the RS2 zoning district. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of the City of York. The planning staff recommends denial of the requested variances. Recommends approval of the requested special exception if the board grants the requested variances. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on April 8, 2024. By way of unanimous vote, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested variances and the requested special exception. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, the deed of the subject property, 1 page of sketch floor plans, and 9 pages of photos of the subject property. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. I have a question regarding, again, regarding the paperwork. Did you give your name and address?
No.
Would you?
Yeah, my name is Ingrid Morel. The property is not mine, it's for the lady, she's Elena Aguilar. I just come talk for her.
You are going to translate for her? Or,
Possibly, yes, but she explained everything. I just can explain whatever, probably any question you can make me. If I don't know, I can ask her.
do you think she needs to be sworn in?
Yeah. Do you have a interpreter's?
Sure, I can make one up.
Yeah, I can too.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Those are good.
Can you just, can you raise your right hand? You don't need to. Do you swear that you will faithfully perform the duties of interpreter and that you will accurately interpret every word that is spoken here tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think your question is, because I was looking over the title, who is, let me find this. Who is Quality Rental LLC?
Yeah, the deed, my question is, comes from the fact that the deed that was submitted is from a Bonnie Bowmaster to Quality Rental LLC, and that is dated the 11th of August, 2023. So when did Ms. Aguilar acquire the property?
She get it in August 2023.
August of 23.
Yeah, I think yeah, Quality Rental is her company, and that was why I was asking the question. She owns that company.
Oh, okay,
Thank you.
all right, well, there you go.
Why don't we let, Mr. Chairman, why don't we let them explain what they'd like, rather than asking questions right off?
Yes, when you acquired the property, it appeared to be an operating 2-unit.
Yeah, the property, when she bought the property, that was already used for 2 units. Had 2 kitchen, 2 bathroom in the second floor, bathroom in the first floor. The property was divided already. And when have 2 mirror, everything is in for each family. And the thing is, including when she buy, they say we sell it 2 units for her. In the internet, when she looking for the property, she see the property like 2 units, and she sell her.
The assessment says 2 family.
Yeah, and then they sell to her like 2 units. Then, when she looking to get the tenant occupies permit, they say, oh, this is only one house, single family home. And she say, no, it's 2 units. When she called to the electric she repaired the property, everything was fine. To the gas company, it's 2 property. For everything was 2 property. Just when she come to the city to ask for the licenses, they say it's just for 1 single family, but they send her to over here to you.
So you said there is 2 meters?
Yeah.
And you have, the property has 2 off-street parking spaces in the garage at the rear? And,
Yeah, the property has 1.5 parking in the garage, and we say also it has some parking in the back too.
and the garage is usable?
Yes.
But how many parking spots are you saying you have? 2 or 3?
No, has the garage, and then on the street has.
No, pero en la propiedad tuya, ¿cuánto parqueo tú tienes?
Es el garaje para.
¿Cuánto cabrón carro? Oh, she's saying the garage is for 2 cars.
It's the second house from the corner with Hartley Street, South Hartley Street. So sometimes being located close to a corner of a street where there is some parking, sometimes makes it a little bit better than if it, it's in a row in the middle of a block.
Is there anyone in the audience for this case specifically? Thank you.
So
The pictures, I kind of asking for an explanation a little bit. I see the garage, okay? And then I see this picture, looks like the side over here of the garage. It looks like it's looking at the garage, it's the left-hand side.
Esa side que está ahí está en tu patio, o ese lado que está ahí, el parque ahí al lado.
And then this one, is that on the right side? I was trying to figure out what this
Este lado
picture is.
derecho, este lado izquierdo. Yeah, that's the right side and this is.
The left side, and this is, and
Ese left side.
you own the property that on each side of the garage?
Sí, tuya la propiedad que está donde está el garaje. Yeah, she said, yeah.
Because it appears you probably park cars right there, correct?
Probably, yeah. But she just mentioned about the garage, but yeah, they can park right there on the corner.
This, I mean, it almost looks like one's paved, a section, and then the other one, I guess that's grass, but I can't really tell from the picture.
Yeah.
Grass?
Eso no
Wait, what's that?
Okay, you're all speaking at the same time.
This,
Property is the garage that leads to the house. The garage is beside the side of the yard.
so it's not the
The
garage.
side is the neighbor's next to her.
Okay, okay.
So I believe, excuse me, I believe when they came up, they said they have 1.5 parking spaces. Is that correct?
Parqueo y medio o dos parqueos. No, it is two parking. They fit two cars into the garage.
So yeah, when I look at this picture, essentially this fence post here is the end of the property line. Would that be correct?
¿Esa línea que se ve ahí es donde termina la línea de la propiedad o es en el garaje que termina? No, yo creo que en la línea. Oh, she say yes, it's in the line. She's not sure, but she say she think it's on the line.
Okay.
is who is occupying the house now? Is it fully occupied or both apartments?
First floor is occupied. She had the license for the first floor, and then she said she had to come over here to be approved for the second floor. Second and third floor is for the one apartment.
So there is presently no one in the upper apartment?
Yeah, they know. Yeah, they approved that.
Just the first floor.
Yeah.
No questions from me.
I do have a question for for your company. Do you have other rentals in York? You do. How many, can I ask?
About 4 or 5.
Okay. I mean, I'm just, this is kind of due diligence as a person that's buying properties and renting them out. It appears that you bought this with the understanding that it was a 2-unit thing. It looked like a 2-unit thing, but maybe before you actually turn over the money, you should verify with the city that it was.
Yeah, we did, this is my first house that I tried as a two-family, and then find out that I was one family. Most of the other houses is one family house.
Okay.
When I spoke to the realtor sent me a house as a two-family.
Okay.
I bought it after I bought it, and the title company sent me the information saying that it's two-family.
Got it. And then the,
Many times the city to let them know that the assessment says that it's two-family.
and then the second instructional that I'll have for you is since you may be here again, if you're buying more properties to get another variance or an ordinance approval, please put a package together that has more information in it. Your package is limited on pictures. There's no picture of the second kitchen. We're taking your word that there's a kitchen there. I talked to the zoning officer. He knows that the building has 2 apartments in it. He verified that. But your application, your pictures, your hand-drawn description are very weak. So for your next one, please just make it a little more. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, the thing was, when we send the old picture, then after the guy, when guy contact us, they say you have to print all information, all the application. Then when we try to print from the house, they don't let me do it. And then after, the guy print the property, right? And the information we sent to him before, he even can print the property. Then we have to take several pictures faster, and we don't be able to go to the first floor apartment.
We've heard this before too. There's a problem with, I believe, our system of inputting these applications. So thank you.
Okay,
Anybody?
could someone like to offer a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve variance to the definition of multifamily conversion from a different use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002A at 502 West King Street in the UN2 zoning district.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the definition to a multifamily conversion. Moved by Mr. Nugent, seconded by Ms. Jenkins. Calling for the vote. Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Mr. Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye.
I'll move to approve a variance to waive the special exception provision that the property must have been vacant for 2 years found in section 1311.11C1 for the property located at 502 West King Street in the UN2 zoning district.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Nugent, seconded by Ms. Jenkins to approve a variance to the special exception requirement that the property be vacant for 2 years. Calling for the vote, Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye.
I'll move to approve a variance to the required off-street parking spaces to 2. Does that make sense? Found in section 1304.01-1.02.002 for the property at 502 West King Street in the UN2 zoning district.
Again, just clarifying, I think that you, basically what you're saying is that you'll grant the variance to approve only 2 off-street parking spaces, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Would it be better if I just didn't say that?
that's fine.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. I'm starting to wind down.
That's Nugent.
By Mr. Nugent and seconded by Ms. Jenkins to approve a variance from the parking requirement to allow 2 off-street parking spaces. Calling for the vote, Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye.
And I'll move to approve a special exception to allow multifamily use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002 at 502 West King Street in the UN2 zoning district.
It's been moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Ms. Jenkins to approve the special exception to allow family conversion from a different use. Calling for the vote, Mr. Carden.
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, nay.
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can we take a quick break?
Sure. Sure. And did anyone else notice that Miss Beatty, I thought, had one of the better prepared applications? The photos were in order and were labeled, and she wasn't really asking for a full-fledged rooming house, but it was one of the better applications I've seen that wasn't submitted by a great big
Yeah.
organization.
Magic.
It just seems to be magic every time.
Always tell people.
It's just, I don't know how you translate that gobbledygook all the way over.
The gobbledygook. Well, I've never heard it called that, but okay.
No, it's gobbledygook. I've sat there enough in my limited experience so far. Especially if you get, well, like that, people are always talking and it gets really crazy.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I try to be nice about it, but sometimes I have to.
Sometimes it doesn't work that way.
I know.
Yeah.
Having fun?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's, you know.
I'm having
It's an
more fun
experience.
than I did last month. We had a case. And Monty tried to get the application, you know, the material. And the owner lives in California. I never even had a chance to ask, how did this happen? You know, did he certainly, I don't think, bought the property on West Market Street in New York
Right.
from California. He was here, I suspect. There was so little presented. He wanted to convert the first floor commercial to 2 residential apartments. And there was, the drawing was a few lines scrawled on a piece of paper. So I said, I can't vote on that application. So we continued it. And at the second meeting, he was represented by someone else, and neither one of the people that he sent to represent him were very familiar with anything. They could just nod yes and no.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
I think I voted to approve it just so I wouldn't have to deal with it again.
Right. Right. Yeah. I agree. From the limited time I've seen and I've been here, some of your applications, you're right, are just what they provide is.
And I don't think everybody ought to have to, you know.
Yeah, spend a lot of
some
money.
These little people cannot come in with their own architect and land use planner and attorney.
Ton of money.
And I don't need that. But you know,
Give me
a few
something.
lines scrawled on a sheet of paper is not a floor plan.
My 4-year-old could cook that up. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. No,
I'm sure.
I hear you, sir. We've lost our stenographer. She'll be right back.
I was looking down the line. Like,
Yeah, like
okay,
what?
who's missing?
Yeah.
Who's missing? Well, oh, yes.
That's exactly what
I almost forgot you, I got you, don't worry.
Oh, thanks. I always forget. People always forget about me.
Right?
Yeah, I'm used to it. I'm a fly on the wall.
Right? Good stenographer. Yeah.
Okay,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our last case for this evening is case number 18 hyphen 2024 hyphen Z hyphen SE hyphen V. The applicant and owner of the subject property is Denise Burkebile? Oh, I'm sorry. Dennis, yes, I can't read tonight. Dennis Burkebile of 4136 Wilshire Drive, York, PA 17402. The subject property is located at 879 East Market Street, which is address located in the UN1 Urban Mixed Residential Commercial Zoning District of the City of York. Applicant seeks several variances to permit up to 4 apartments at the subject property, which density is greater than the permitted by the City of York zoning ordinance. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of the City of York. The planning staff recommends denial of the requested variance. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on April 8th, 2024. By way of majority vote, the Planning Commission recommended to table the application because the applicant did not appear. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, the deed to the subject property, 1 page of hand-drawn plans, an aerial photo of the subject property, and 2 pages of photos of the subject property. Mr. Chairman.
thank you. Mr. Burkebile, the sketch that you did, it wouldn't win, it's not a Rembrandt winner, but it's readable. It's perfectly readable. It looks to me as though the basic dimension of this proposed apartment is roughly 11 feet by 26 feet. What does that?
286 square feet.
How many?
286 square feet.
286. Does that satisfy a requirement for a studio or efficiency apartment? It does? Okay.
It also has there's an existing half bath. It's not much square footage, but it's only, like 2.5 feet by 5 feet, but it's a little more.
Did you state your name and address?
No, Dennis Burkebile, 4136 Wilshire Drive, York, Pennsylvania, 17402.
Can you spell your last name?
Berkebile.
Thank you.
I apologize, it's getting late, my voice is going down the hill.
So there is an existing, the current half bath, and you're going to add the shower.
Yeah, with walls.
With that wall.
And then a kitchenette, yeah, to make it an efficiency.
How long you owned the building?
You really make me think. July 22, I think I bought it.
July 22, okay.
Yeah.
And all the other apartments are all rented right now?
Yes, sir. Yep. I did try to rent the commercial unit. I had, first I had Elite trying to rent it for me, and we did get someone in there. They couldn't make a go of it. And then Budget was trying to rent it for me, and it's just such a small space. Nobody wants the little commercial spaces anymore, so I thought it'd be better suited to be an apartment. Plus, it's only going to be 1 parking space used as an apartment versus if it was commercial, it would use up more parking spaces. And there's plenty of street parking there because it's no meters.
It's a shame Miss Luna left. This might be a big enough location for a perfume store. Oh, God.
Well, and as far as anything with ADA, it's got steps going up to it and everything else, so.
Oh. Well, I don't have any other helpful comments to offer or questions. It looks like it adequate for one or two people.
I'll keep it to one on occupancy on the lease. It's too small for two, you know. In my opinion, whether the city may say it's okay, but I don't think it's big enough.
Unless they're very friendly.
Yeah.
Do we know what the dimensional variance is? I mean, how much off are we, you know, basically we're.
The dimensional variance, I believe is because he, for efficiency, he needs 400 square feet and he only got 286.
But that's okay for
He has to come to compliance with 400 at least square feet of habitable floor space.
Okay, so that's what really the variance is for.
Yes.
I thought it was something to do with how many people were in one building. Or the population in the square acreage or whatever the term is.
Yeah, that's all part of it too. When he went to convert it and everything, we had to let him know that if the space is going to be converted, it has to meet certain minimum standards. And since he was doing efficiency, it would be 400 square feet. And if it was a one bedroom apartment, it would be 550 square feet.
Right, okay, I think that's what you were asking about was 286 big enough for a
Yeah.
efficiency, and it really isn't, so that's what the variance is for, is to make the.
Well, I'm not sure. I've been meaning to suggest to Monty, when I see him, I'm never thinking about it. And when I'm thinking about it, he's not around. I mean, I'm not with him. The way this is worded, the applicant seeks a dimensional variance since the proposed density is less than permitted by the zoning ordinance in this district, and I'm wondering if we don't mean the proposed density is greater than. I mean.
I guess my question would be, is it a density issue or is it a size issue or is it both issues?
It should be both.
Yeah, I think we've uncovered that there might be an issue, a size issue.
Square acreage that's.
Right.
May I ask a question?
Right, the amount of square feet compared to the size of the lot. And is that in the county somehow? Is that a city ordinance matter or something imposed by the county?
It's in the zoning code.
Yeah, that's in our ordinance.
Yeah.
That's in the zone, in our ordinance. And I have no real problem with a variance from that. But, you know, a little while back, we kind of pushed a case on through, even though at least I had some doubts about the dimension, about the space, the size of the apartment. And I think Monty said, well, that it just won't pass inspection then. And it sounded as though we were going to let the applicant do the renovation to make two apartments and then possibly be found that he wouldn't pass inspection.
Well, normally, they get all the information up front, how big the unit's supposed to be and everything like that. So if you're turning an apartment or making two apartments, you still got to adhere by the square foot that you're supposed to have for each apartment. Like you said, if it's an efficiency, it needs to be 400 square feet. If it's a one bedroom, it needs to be 550, two bedrooms, 750, and so on. So they should already know all that because it's already in the stuff and how they chop the building up, we do not have anything to do with. If they don't meet the requirements that we stand for, then they will not be able to do it once they have their CFO application, CFO inspection.
But currently, what we're doing is creating a variance so that they can have roughly 300 square feet rather than 400 square feet.
And again, I think also that you would be looking at a variance regarding the number of dwelling units per acre. For the density.
So are we okay with making that decision tonight?
It's not ideal, but I think that, well, let me ask you, are you folks here for this case? No? Okay. Everybody got notice that basically what they were trying to do, okay? Or what Mr. Birkbaugh was trying to do. The fact that, that it takes two variances to achieve that as opposed to one, they should have both been advertised, but the fact of the matter remains is that basically what he is trying to do is the same thing. He's trying to add an apartment. If somebody had an objection to that, presumably they would have seen that what he was trying to do, and they would have been here tonight. So I'm okay with moving forward, adding that to this. Yeah.
And didn't we, some years ago, didn't we encounter some legal maxim that held that if one branch or agent of a government gives approval on something, another branch or agent of the government cannot reverse it? Does that ring any bell with you?
I mean, you would
Having
be.
a bad dream.
Well, I think you're talking about an estoppel type of argument, which basically says that, if somebody kind of moves forward on the premise that they are given by a municipal agent, that then the agency shouldn't just kind of come back and go back against the word that their agent gave.
Monty, have you been in this property?
No, I have not.
Okay. Do you have any information from your inspectors that says whether or not this might be a good idea?
Well, since it was commercial and everything, they didn't know how it was actually going to be broken up by dimensions and everything like that. So that's what we was waiting to receive back and everything. And that's why when we always do all the cases, we always send them the information and tell them, like, if you're trying to do efficiency, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, make sure you meet this requirement and everything like that, or you can apply for a variance to relieve you from some of them, but not all of them. So we try to be fully transparent with them up front, so we don't have a problem at this point.
Thank you.
Mr. Birkbaugh, if the length kind of the first floor is that all there is, 26 feet? That's very unusual, because usually the first and second floors of the building are longer, and it's the third floor that is shorter. Is that all?
There's a first floor, 1-bedroom apartment behind that.
Ah.
And then there's,
So, I believe if you look at this one, this should be,
yeah, that's the rear of
this
the
should be
first
the
floor.
rear door in the back door in this, and then this is an entire separate apartment, correct?
Yeah, there is no back door to the commercial. I mean, there is, but it's over a Bilco, so it's kind of useless. That back door is the back porch to the first floor apartment, which sits behind the commercial, like offset. So there's 2 front doors on the building. The left front door goes into the apartments. That goes up to the second and third floor. And then the other front door goes to the commercial unit. The only way to get into the first floor apartment is through the back door. So that's why it's 2 separate entities there on the first floor. if that helps.
So
So that back apartment's that just one bedroom?
Yes.
So it looks to me as though it would be doable to add the front space to the existing first floor apartment as an additional bedroom and half bath, which is already there.
He already has that apartment rented, correct?
Yes.
So it would be difficult for him to talk that tenant into
Plus, what it
additional
is,
space.
and the bathrooms are back to back. So you'd have to go into the common area in the hallway and then you'd lose your stairwell. So I couldn't do that.
Well, I'm willing to move forward with it and, with no real certainty that the inspectors are going to approve it, but, you know, as an efficiency apartment, it's a little small, but, we've approved rental rooms a lot smaller than that, so, it's not that it wouldn't be livable for one person, so if someone would like to make a motion.
Before that, though, I think the issue is, if we give a variance for less than 400 square feet, it should be that the inspection team sees that there's a variance and he gets approved. I mean, we're saying it's okay. Is that correct? Because that's what he's after for having this thing, so I don't think there's an issue with inspections. Right. So that's the whole idea of getting the variance. Now, we don't really know what the density is. I can't find the book for this area, but.
So that what they do is they go off of the most analogous use, and that is multiple family dwellings conversion from a different use. Okay, so that is in the past how we have handled that. So it would be this is. I'm sorry. Which zone is this? This is
UN1.
So 30 dwelling units per acre. And we don't know exactly the. I can tell you here in just a minute, probably. I'm not connected to the internet. Well, let me try this again.
And just so you don't miss it, there was 3 variances on that I paid for. You mentioned 2 of them. I just want to make sure we don't miss anything going forward.
Can you read the variances that you have?
To be honest with you, we only show one.
So one, yeah.
It's a special exception use, variance 1, 2, and 3.
Hold up.
We show just a variance 1.
Yeah, this paper ain't right.
No, it's not. So this shows total lot acreage as,
One of the variances I do remember was to change it. And when I talked to you, one was for parking.
To change it, parking, and for the unit.
Yeah,
so he's one over.
that's what they were. Yeah.
Based on it would be allowed 3.1 under the density requirements, and he's asking for 4, so he's basically asking for 1 over. but hold on a minute.
Yeah, you're supposed to have parking and.
So this must have been an apartment combined with a residential.
Or commercial.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah, it was a beauty shop since the 50s in that front space.
Oh, in the front,
Yeah, and the owner lived in the first floor apartment.
space we're discussing.
Yes. It had been vacant for many, many years because the person I bought it from, it was his mother's beauty shop. He's in his 80s when I bought it from him. So it had been vacant for a while. I tried to make it a go. It's commercial, but it's just not having any luck with it, so.
Do we need to see the other, you've applied for 3 different separate items, we only see one.
Yeah, we only see one. I don't understand why it's not on there.
Well, I'm looking at the narrative. The problem is, I think that to change the commercial store in front. The problem is that this application process does not exactly.
Oh, yeah, the questions, I just.
No, I know.
I just was repetitive.
No, I know.
because There wasn't an answer for them.
And so it becomes a question of, you know, we end up relying on what we are, the way that these applications don't say specifically what the variance is, okay? We then end up relying on this. And, you know, so I guess what I would do, what was the so there was the density, there was the size, and then what, the use actual, the actual use, the change from the.
I don't remember anything with the size. It was density, parking, and use.
So there's 4.
No, I only have 3. I paid for 3.
Density, parking, and use.
Density, parking, and use, but now what we've realized is that we would need a 4th for the size.
Well, that maybe is the use one, dimensional.
No, that would be the dimensional for the size. The use, I think, is actually the change from the commercial.
To a
Yeah.
dwelling.
Well, I don't know how much.
Nobody's here in objection? I mean, you face sort of the practical question here, and if you're inclined to approve it, just approve it. I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
I'm in favor of approving it, I just don't know what we're approving.
Well, and I'm okay.
This is what we're approving.
I think I got it.
Okay. If our lawyer says it's good, it's good.
It's not great.
It's good.
It's not great, but, you know, we advise people all the time to accept risk, and, you know, are you accepting risk that this could be appealed by somebody? Sure. It's slight risk, so.
You mean as far as a neighbor or something like, I mean, let's face it, it was commercial use, which would be more than 1 or 2 parking at a time, where I'm going down to 1 parking space.
Well, and I mean, in reality, if somebody were to appeal this, we'd probably lose, and the remedy would be that you'd be back here again. And then we'd be hearing this all over again, doing it correctly. So again, sort of out of the practicality of it all, I would say just go ahead and do it.
Okay, so for efficiency's sake, can we make this motion?
I'm okay with you making the motion to approve all motions, or to
Okay.
approve all variances, honestly.
Just saying that.
And it's called an omnibus variance.
Okay, well, in that case, I'll move to approve all variances.
And when Andy said it may not be great, I say, don't let the great be the enemy of the good.
So these are 4 variances, correct? We've got a dimensional variance, we've got a parking variance, we've got a density
And use.
and a use variance. And all we're,
Am I okay with getting it approved? Yeah.
All we're saying in
I got
this,
supplies sitting, waiting to go into place to finish it off after I get my permit.
what we're saying in this motion is you can use this commercial space for a residential efficiency unit.
That's right.
I'll move. So moved.
Second.
Now, I'm not sure you're moving that we approve the variance.
All variances.
I'll just say all variants.
Well, we should name them.
It's already on.
It's already on his computer.
And he did. He
So
Adam named them.
you have the four.
I've got them.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Ms. Jenkins to approve the variances applied for. This in case number 18-2024-Z-V regarding the property at 879 East Market Street. And that was moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Ms. Jenkins, calling for the vote. Mr. Carden?
Aye.
Carden, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. And don't let them ever say we can't be creative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. I'm glad I stayed awake.
And I don't know how we could be criticized that much, because a year or two ago.
Can we adjourn?
we're
Let's
off-
adjourn. Let's adjourn.
we're Adjourn.
You enjoyed it? All right, very good.
A year or two ago,
Come back next month.
the zoning officer at the time,
Take care. Have a nice night. Thanks.
they think you're approving too much. And I said, who's they? And I didn't get an answer. Now they wanted something called a zoning overlay that approved less than we were. So I'm not sure which one.
As far as the committee, Andy, I just have to say,
I'll see what I can do.
Like she doesn't.
I commend you.
Of course.
We have all those cases.
Yes.
You stay on task, and look, it's only 5 minutes after 8.
And I'm gonna get home in time to put my kids to bed.
There we go.
Well done, Mr. Chairman.
No, I was getting ready to say, now what do I have to do the next meeting to keep you on pace?
Take care, everybody.
Was it 5 or was it 6? Was it
I'll see ya.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Everyone, good night. I do like it. Yeah. And Thursday, it's nice that it's a Thursday. Summer months. Ah, so he's doing nothing. He's golfing. It's not like he's home waiting for me.
Right, right. Okay, so we get you.
Yeah,
I'll see you guys.
So we got you.
All right.
See you. Get home safe.
All righty.
All right, good night.
And that's my apology on that last case, because normally, Nancy does the agenda and I just copy and paste everything. And I should have thought that she didn't put the other 2 variances on.
You're fired.
Hey.
You and Nancy, wait for
I'm so sorry about that.